Hello, everybody. This is Sam Carchidi and Chris Maher for Philly Hockey Now, and we're at the Wells Fargo Center with the Philadelphia Flyers, one of the hottest teams in the league, believe it or not. They beat the Washington Capitals and Alex Ovechkin 5-3. The Flyers have won 6 of 7. Washington had won 13 of 17 before tonight, but the Flyers were pretty much in control from the start. What'd you think of the game tonight, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of good things tonight. Obviously, Konecny being the main topic, second career hat trick for him, and he's just been incredible. Really, since coming back from injury, he's, I don't know how many points he's got, but I think you mentioned he's got multiple point games. And
he's got 8 multiple point games now in the last 10 games. He has 20 points in the last 10 games, and I think he's got 11 goals in that stretch. He had a hat trick tonight, his second career hat trick, as you mentioned, and somehow he's not on the All-Star team. The Metro Division, as you know, is still going to add a couple players, a couple skaters, and a goalie. So there's a chance he's at it, but he's been phenomenal. And of course, he had the hat trick tonight. Scotty Lawton had 3 points and a goal. Owen Tippett had 2 points and a goal, and Tippett has been on fire as well. He's on pace right now. He's got 13 goals, on pace to score like 25 for the season. And the Claude Giroux trade all of a sudden is looking very good because Tippett has emerged, and the Flyers still have a number 1 pick from Florida for 2024.
For sure. And, just for Tippett in general, I mean, for the young guys that you looked at going into this season, Tippett was a guy that you looked at to get around, I'd say 35, 40, maybe 45 points, and he's on a 25-goal pace. And, for him, it's been really good just to see in general because they've been scoring. Going into the game against Toronto, they're ranked 28th in goals for, 30th in expected goals for, 28th in shots on net, 32nd in offensive zone time possession, and 32nd in the league in cycle chances. So that kind of shows you that, the underlying numbers and part of the numbers haven't been there, but certain guys like Konecny, like Tippett, and even if it hasn't been there, guys like Frost, they've kept the same lines for most of this stretch. Actually, since the last game we did the podcast, they've had the same lines.
Right.
But for most of it, it's been kind of like smooth cruise kind of through it. Like they've had the same offense that they've been scoring. I believe this is since coming out of the break, they scored like 4 more goals, I think, only not one time. In
7 of the last 8 games, they've scored 4 or more. And this is a team that was really struggling to score. They, as you mentioned with those stats, I mean, they were towards the bottom, if not in the bottom, at the bottom in a lot of offensive categories. And now they've scored 4 or more in 7 of 8. So, Tippett has blossomed. Wade Allison's playing well. The lines, as you mentioned, they have not been broken up, and I think the continuity has really helped them. Frost has been centering JVR and Tippett. Cates has been centering Farabee and Konecny. Lawton with Hayes and Allison, and even the fourth line's chipped in with some good minutes. Brown, Delorier, and
a couple goals
and McEwen, and a couple goals. So, some encouraging signs, and the goaltending is probably the best position on the team right now. With Hart, who played decently tonight. I didn't think he was great, but he was good. But Sam Ersson has been lights out in his last 4 games. So a lot of good things happening, and that leads us into the fact that the Flyers, believe it or not, are 7 points out of a playoff spot. Playoffs? Can this team be in the playoffs? I don't think so. I'll go right on record right now. I don't see them as a playoff team, but give them credit. They're only 7 points out now behind Pittsburgh, which has the last wild card spot, but Pittsburgh has played 2 fewer games, so it could be an 11-point. But right now they're 7 points at a playoff spot with 40 games left. I don't think any of us saw them being that close. I mean, they have to jump over a lot of teams, and it's still a long shot.
It would be a miracle, if they were to make the playoffs. I think some people would probably get mad at you for saying that because you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, they should be a Bedard team and everything else, right? And they should be lower in the league and should be, people want them to lose. But they're winning, and that's the thing. I mean, for the team right now and for where they are, I feel like it's good to get some wins. I mean, for the confidence of the team and just for what they're trying to build. It's not just about this season and losing out and things like that. I think you have to actually try to win some games too to kind of build that kind of like you said, that continuity with the lines and everything
Right.
else. You want to build the confidence as well.
And the nice thing is they're getting these wins with the young players contributing. I mean,
Right.
one night it's Morgan Frost. Some nights it's Owen Tippett. Travis Konecny's only 25. I mean, he's a veteran.
And he's
but,
been in a lot of the nights.
Right, he's there every night. Noah Cates has been in the mix. Joel Farabee's playing much better lately. Wade Allison is starting to get his game together after his injury. So, this team, since Cam York's another one. I mean, since Cam York was called up, this team, I have to look it up to see what their record is, but this team has played well over 500, I know, since Cam York has been here, and he's chipping in. So, a lot of positive. Is this team going to make the playoffs? That's a real long shot. I mean, they probably have maybe a 5-10% chance at the most. But it's interesting. The next game, Saturday, a rematch with Washington.
Right.
And then after that, they have Boston, which has 4 losses all year.
In regulation, yeah.
Right. And then after that, they play Anaheim and Chicago, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Anaheim and Chicago. 2 weak teams the Flyers should beat.
Yeah.
If you can steal a point against either Washington in Washington or against Boston, if you go 2-1-1 in that stretch, I think they would be very happy. But but you think it's a pipe dream, don't you, to make the playoffs? Sure.
I mean, look. I think the other thing is too, like with the way that they are and the injuries too, you can't rule out another injury and all that stuff because say Konecny were to go down hurt, then that's the majority of your scoring right now. And even though like we talked about other guys are chipping in, but I think for playoffs it would be tough.
I guess there's an outside chance that Sean Couturier could be back at some point in February, but
if they're close too, I think that's the thing. If they're out of it,
good point.
Probably just put them towards the end of the for
Right.
off season and just rehab them at that point.
Right.
But if they're close, maybe we'll see.
Right. All right. This has been Sam Carchidi and Chris Maher, and we're at the Wells Fargo Center where the Flyers opened some eyes tonight with a 5-3 win over the Washington Capitals. Caps, as I mentioned, were one of the hottest teams in the NHL, and now the Flyers have that distinction. They've won 6 of 7. They're scoring a ton of goals, and they're a fun team because the young guys are producing. And Chris, appreciate you taking the time out, and we will see you next time on another podcast for Philly Hockey Now. Good night, good hockey, as the late, great Gene Hart always was fond of saying, and we'll see you next time.